Hi, this is probably going to be the last video in the series in the playlist on Surds, and I've saved the best till last. This particular question is probably aimed at level 8, level 9, so it's a little bit tricky, and there's a couple of little techniques that you need to bear in mind as you're working through this. The main thing is you've got this awful denominator that you need to deal with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, rather than 1 plus 1 over root 3, I need to add those two fractions together. So rather than 1, I could write 1 over 1, or I could write root 3 over root 3, because root 3 over root 3 is exactly the same as 1. And if I add that to 1 over root 3, what do I actually get? Well, I get 1 over root 3 plus 1 divided by root 3. Okay, so that actually is going to make it hopefully a little bit easier for me to deal with, because you appreciate that 1 over this is exactly the same as saying 1 divided by root 3 plus 1 over root 3. Okay, so let's just have a look at that for a minute. It's the same as saying, if I've got something like 1/4, I could write that as 1 over 1. So 1/4 divided by 1/3. Well, the technique that we normally use is we multiply it and flip it. So that's exactly what we're going to do with this. Rather than writing it like this, I'm going to say, well, actually, I can write that as 1 times, this is the 1 bit at the top, 1 times root 3 over root 3 plus 1. Okay, hope that's been all right for you. It's just a flip of a fraction, really. Now, also, the other thing is, because it's 1 times, actually, I can get rid of that. It's no good to me. Don't need it. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I've got this situation here. Now, in order to get rid of this denominator and make it look a lot more like that, I'm going to multiply the bottom by root 3 minus 1. And I can multiply the top by root 3 minus 1. So whatever you multiply the bottom by, you're going to multiply the top by. Now, the reason I've gone from a plus to a minus is because it very handily allows me to get rid of these root 3's at the bottom. You'll see what I mean. So the first thing is root 3 times root 3, well, that's going to be root 9. So actually, I can leave that as just 3, because the square root of 9 is 3. Okay, and then I've got root 3 times minus 1 is minus root 3, and plus 1 times root 3 is plus root 3. Okay, so that deals with those two there. And then the final one I've got is plus 1 times minus 1. Well, that's going to be minus 1. You can see where this is going, because these two in the middle here will cancel themselves out, and I get 3 minus 1. Guess what? Going to be equal to 2. Okay, so that's great news. Very happy about that. So the next one is the top bit. Well, I've got root 3 times root 3 is going to be root 9. Square root 9 is going to be 3. And then I've got root 3 times minus 1. Well, that's going to be minus root 3. So actually, that's looking pretty good, because it's the top one. And as we've said, the bottom one, we can lose these two. And if I just tie that up a little bit, I get 3 minus root 3 divided by 2, which is what they're looking for us to show that this fraction is the same as that. And we've shown it by working our way through that. Okay, so there's a few different techniques going on there, and it will take a little bit of time to work through. It's quite difficult to get it across on a video, but hopefully that's been helpful. Please do add a comment below. Always come back to you. Have a look at the other Surds within the playlist, Surd questions within the playlist, and please do subscribe to the channel. I look forward to seeing you inside the next video. It'll be a little bit easier.